Hey, welcome to Alum House Sound. My name is Dave, and today we're going to talk about setting up your Talkback mic. So many times when you're in the venue, you want to be able to set up a Talkback mic so that you can communicate from the soundboard to the people on stage or the talent that is up on the stage. Now, the board does have a built-in Talkback mic, and you can set either Talkback A or B. Usually one is for push and release, the other is for a latched environment where you push the button, it's on until you push it again, and then it's off. Another option, though, is to plug a mic into the back of the board. Both will work well, and don't forget, though, that you do have a volume control right at the top of the board that will determine how much your talent hears you. Let's dive into X32 Edit. We'll take a peek at that in the software, and then afterwards we'll dive into the console and look at it there in case you're running any of the platforms of the X32 or M32 consoles. All right, so let's dive into X32 Edit. We've got that set up here on the screen. Should be able to see that. And I want to look at the monitor section here. If I click on monitor, I should get a pop-up window. And in the pop-up window here, we've got both Talkback A and Talkback B. Now again, if we look at Talkback A, we'll notice that we have Talkback A, it is enabled. You could push right here and talk. Notice that it's set to push and release, push and release. Where Talkback B, if I click it, it stays on until I click it again. That's the setting with the button here on the right. The button mode, notice that Talkback A that we're on is not set to latch. Talkback B, latch is highlighted. That's what's making the difference between Talkback B as a click to turn on and then another click to turn off. Talkback A is just a push to talk, and then when you release, it goes off immediately. So you've got those two different settings there, right, for Talkback A and B. And now we have our options. You can set either one independently. So Talkback A and B are separate. So if you want to have Talkback A, say, go to your band only, but Talkback B goes to everybody on stage, vocalist included, you've got some different options there on the right-hand side by selecting which MixBUSes you want to use. Now, when we look at the MixBUSes, obviously, this presupposes that you have MixBUSes going as monitors. And we would just click in here, any of these 16 MixBUSes. You could send it to main left and right, or the mono center channel, which is just kind of a pre-built-in MixBUS as well. But typically speaking, you would send your Talkback mic to your buses, and that way when you click the button, you can turn it on and it will work. Notice too, you've got the external mic as an option, and that way you can select whether you're using an external mic or a built-in mic. Now, as quick and easy as those settings are to get your Talkback mic up and running through the buses, what do you do if your band is using P16s? How do you get your signal from the console out to the P16s? Let's jump back in and take a look at that now. So if we step out of the monitor section and we go into our routing, here we have a couple different options. The quick version here is that our inputs cover all of the inputs coming into the console. Everything else, for the most part, is talking about what's going out of the console. So what goes out across your AES-50 options, what goes out across your USB card, what goes out XLR, your actual outputs, here's where you select those, so on and so forth, your aux outs. But let's look at Ultranet. Ultranet is determining what sends your signals out of your console to your P16s. Here we can see that we have a couple different pre-set up options right now. This is for the scene that I happen to be working on recently for a client. You can see that Talkback is set up as channel 16. How do we find that? So the quickest way to find that Talkback mic here in these settings, we go past our main left and right, past our mono center channel, past our MixBUSes, past the matrix. we're going to scroll past all of our direct out channels where we can pass inputs directly from the input to the output. We've got aux outs, effects. Finally, when we get to the far right, we could send our monitor signal, but here is TB, that is the talkback mic. Notice how we have that selected down here at the bottom. And when we send that talkback mic, it would go to a channel, in this case, channel 16 on those P16s. So it does take up one of your 16 input channels going into your P16, but the talent can then click on the channel 16. They can turn that volume all the way up. They can adjust it. They can even EQ it if they wanted to be saucy about it. And they can put a limiter on it as well if they needed to. But this now sends the signal all the way out to the P16s along with the rest of their mix that they've got options with. So here we are taking a look at the console. This is obviously the X32 Compact. The layout for the full size is slightly different, and it'll have this monitor section over on the right side of the screen. But for now, this is the console I've got. So you have the monitor section up here. Your talk level, this is the volume knob that I was mentioning in the video earlier. We have Talkback A, which is push and release. Talkback B, which is set up for latched. And to view the monitor section, we just hit the view button here. And now we have all of our controls. So now we would use the page over button to get over to Talkback A. We can now use these encoders to determine which monitors or buses we want this to send to. We have our external mic option here, which highlights on the screen. We also have Talkback enabled, where we can turn that off, so it doesn't matter what you do with the button, it's not going to do anything. That helps to prevent any inadvertent mishaps of people pushing buttons and things going to places you don't want them to go to. You also have the latching feature here, which is not on for Talkback A, but again, we do have it on for Talkback B. Also note that your Talkback level does need to be turned up. This is kind of like a gain, if you will, but it needs to be turned up in overall volume, and then that allows your talk level master volume to work as well. But again, this video is going to be talking more about how to send the Talkback mic into your P16s. So let's jump into the screen a little closer and we'll look at the routing. So I'll hit the routing tab and then we'll dive in. So here we are on the screen and we're on the routing area. Again, the input section, like I just talked about in the X32 edit portion. The input screen talks about inputs to your console. Everything else talks about outputs. We're going to page over, or tab over if you will, and we're going to find our P16 tab. In X32 edit, it's called Ultranet. Here it's called P16. One and the same though. What we've got on the left are the 16 outputs that leave the console and go up to the P16s. And in the example, we have these presets. So kick was going out number 1, and then number 2 here we have P16 drums, 3 is an overhead, so on and so forth. You've got bass. But if we go to the very bottom, we got to 16. Channel 16, now we can come to the category, which is main, left, and right, your mix buses, your matrices, direct outs. Then we get to monitor and talkback, and that's where this last encoder does show monitor left, right, monitor left, monitor right, and then talkback. We've selected talkback. That then allows your talkback, whatever is turned on in talkback, to go out the console to your P16s, and then your talent on stage can hear it in their mixes. All right, well, there you go. Thanks for checking out the video. Make sure to give it a like and a subscribe to the channel. But that's just a quick look at using the Talkback mic here in the X32 console today. But obviously this translates to all of the X32 and M32 platforms that you may be using. But thanks again. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.